What if I told you that the single most important factor between you and your greatest success isn't talent, luck, or even hard work? It's something far deeper, a force so quiet, so powerful, it can bend reality to your will. Relentless. Belief. The kind of belief that refuses to quit when everything tells you to give up. The kind of belief that turns failure into fuel and doubt into determination. If you want to unlock that power inside you, if you want to become truly unstoppable, then listen closely, because everything you've been waiting for starts right now. There is a force within you, ancient, electric, unbreakable. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the right conditions. It doesn't check the weather, the bank account, or the opinions of others. It believes, long before the first victory, long before the first applause, long before anyone saw you as capable, powerful, or destined. It believed. Relentless belief is not optimism. It is not hope. It is not some fluffy motivational slogan pasted on a poster or stitched on a pillow. Relentless belief is war. It is grit. It is standing in front of the battlefield of your life, trembling maybe, but refusing to move backward. It is what Edison had when his lab burned to the ground, and he said, "Thank God all our mistakes are gone." It's what Lincoln had after failing in business, suffering defeat after defeat, losing a child, battling depression, and still rising to lead a broken nation. It's what you must have if you're going to build anything that lasts, because the world, it will doubt you. Your friends, some will vanish. Your mind, it will scream, "This is too hard." But belief, true belief, does not check for consensus. It is a fire lit by decision, not conditions. And the moment you stop waiting for someone to give you permission, the moment you stop needing evidence before action, the moment you say, "I will build this mountain with bare hands if I must," that is the moment life starts listening. You see, belief doesn't wait for proof. Belief creates the proof. You want to change your life? Don't start with strategy. Start with belief. Strategy is a map, but belief is the fuel. And without fuel, the map means nothing. When Henry Ford said, "I will build a motor car for the great multitude," people laughed. His engineers said it couldn't be done, and he told them, "Build it anyway." They said, "It's impossible." Ford said, "Do it." That wasn't arrogance. That was relentless belief in vision, belief that bent steel and rewrote reality. You will not build something great by waiting for reassurance. You will not reach the summit by only climbing on sunny days. You will not awaken your destiny by asking, "Do I deserve this?" You demand it. You create it. You believe it into existence. But here's the thing they don't tell you: belief doesn't shout. It whispers. And most people never hear it because they're too busy listening to fear. Fear is loud. Fear is urgent. Fear shows up dressed as logic, cloaked in reason, and paralyzed by past wounds. But belief is quiet. It sits inside the storm, unshaken. It says, "I'm still here." It says, "Keep going." It says, "One more step." And those who listen, truly listen, become the few who don't just survive this life. They shape it. Every empire that ever rose began as a whisper, a thought, a flicker, a vision so fragile it could have been lost in a single breath of doubt. But those who carried it, those rare few, they protected that spark like it was sacred. Because it was. Belief is sacred, not because it makes things easy, but because it makes them possible. And if you're waiting for someone to see your vision, to clap for your dreams, to fund your effort, to validate your worth, you're already behind. Because the true giants of history didn't wait for validation. They decided. They didn't say, "One day I'll do it." They said, "Today, I become it." Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Stephen King's first book was rejected 30 times. Colonel Sanders was turned down over 1,000 times before someone tasted his chicken. What made them unstoppable wasn't luck. It wasn't privilege. It wasn't perfect timing. It was relentless belief, the refusal to let the outside world shape the truth inside them. And what about you? How many dreams have you buried because someone laughed? How many visions have you edited down because the world couldn't handle your fullness? How many times have you looked in the mirror and seen only limitation? It ends today, because belief, true belief, starts not when the world sees you differently, but when you do, when you stop playing small to make others comfortable, when you stop trimming your wings to fit their cages, when you stop apologizing for wanting more growth, more freedom, more impact, more life. This is not greed. It is truth awakened. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break open the world with the force of your becoming. But to do that, you must make one sacred, unshakable choice: to believe, even when it's quiet, even when it's dark, even when nothing around you reflects what's inside you, because that's when belief becomes power. When you walk into the room they said you didn't belong in, when you speak the vision they said was too big, when you act like the person you know you were born to be, even when you're still becoming them, you move from hope to conviction, and conviction changes everything, not because it guarantees success, but because it guarantees movement. And movement, consistent and focused, turns faith into fact. Let the world underestimate you. Let them talk. Let them watch, because while they're watching, you'll be building. While they're doubting, you'll be deciding. While they're waiting, you'll be becoming. And one day, when the results speak louder than your words ever could, you won't need to explain your belief. They'll feel it. There's a moment in every journey, quiet, brutal, unglamorous, when nothing is working. No applause, no momentum, just resistance. And that's when most people quit. Not because they didn't want it badly enough, but because they didn't believe long enough. You see, life doesn't hand you greatness in the beginning. It tests you. It says, do you really want this? Not once, but again, and again, and again, and each time, you must respond not with explanation, not with panic, not with doubt, but with belief, unshaken, unbending, unapologetic. It's the same belief that carried Mandela through 27 years in prison. The same belief that kept Beethoven composing when he could no longer hear the music. The same belief that told Helen Keller, blind and deaf, that the world could still be understood and conquered. What excuse do you have that can stand in the face of that? Because belief doesn't care about your background. It doesn't care where you started. It only asks, will you keep walking when the lights are out? Will you keep showing up when the crowd disappears? Will you keep grinding when nobody sees you? That's where greatness is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not when you feel inspired, but when you feel empty. And still, you build. Still, you write. Still, you train. Still, you dream. Because you know something they don't. Belief makes you dangerous. Not to others, but to every excuse that ever kept you small. To every fear that whispered not you. To every old version of yourself that accepted average. You want to leave a legacy? Then stop negotiating with weakness. Stop waiting for the world to get it. Stop asking for clearance. Act. Speak. Move. Like it's already yours. Because if you need others to believe before you do, you've already lost. The people who change the world are the ones who believe when it makes no sense. They see abundance in a desert. They see opportunity in crisis. They see progress in pain. They don't need permission. They give themselves permission and go. And here's the secret most won't tell you. You don't become successful and then believe. You believe, and that's what makes you successful. It's backwards from what they teach you. They say, once you prove it, then you'll believe it. But true greatness flips the script. You believe first. You speak first. You act as if. And then the world bends to your inner decision. That is the power of relentless belief. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is quiet, but unbreakable. It is the moment when, in your darkest hour, you say to yourself, I don't know how, but I will. It is that sentence, I will, that echoes across centuries. Not I'll try, not I hope, not maybe someday, but I will. Because when belief becomes identity, action is no longer optional, it's inevitable. You stop acting like the person you used to be, and start moving like the person you're becoming. Not because you've arrived, but because you've decided. And in that decision, there's power the world can't touch. Not your bank account, not your connections, not your resume. Just you standing in full command of your destiny. That's the switch. That's the line. That's where average dies and greatness is born. And don't let anyone tell you it's easy. Relentless belief will cost you. It'll cost you comfort. It'll cost you certainty. It'll cost you the approval of those who settled. Because belief threatens the insecure. It triggers the small-minded. It exposes the silent agreement most people have made with mediocrity. But if you want to lead, if you want to build impact, move mountains, you must walk through the fire of misunderstanding. Let them call you crazy. Let them doubt you. Let them fall away, because belief doesn't need a choir. It needs commitment. Do you think Carnegie built an empire without resistance? Do you think Rosa Parks stood her ground because it was easy? Do you think Martin Luther King Jr.'s kept marching because the path was smooth? No, they moved because they couldn't not move. They spoke because silence was no longer an option. They believed, and belief demanded action no matter the cost. That is what you are being called to. Not comfort, conviction, a quiet, unwavering, unrelenting fire inside your chest that says, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. And nothing, not fear, not failure, not silence will stop me. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud, you're not stuck. You're not too late. You're not unworthy. You're just waiting, waiting to feel ready. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for the world to give you a sign. But readiness is a myth. Permission is a lie. And real belief doesn't wait. It moves through uncertainty. It says, I'll figure it out on the way. It says, the vision is more real to me than the fear. It says, even if I fail, I'll fail moving forward, because the pain of action is nothing compared to the pain of regret. Do you want to look back and say, I could have? Or do you want to look back and say, I did? Because belief is not about avoiding failure, it's about choosing which pain you're willing to live with. And those who achieve the extraordinary, they choose the pain of growth over the pain of staying the same. There's a silence most people never confront, the silence of wasted potential. It creeps in at night. It whispers when the noise stops. It asks questions you don't want to answer. What if you had started? What if you had believed a little longer? What if the version of you the world needed was the one you abandoned? But not you. Not now. Because you're not here to flirt with your destiny, you're here to marry it. You're here to bet the house on who you could become. You're here to stop bargaining with excuses and start waging war with conviction. Because let me tell you something most people forget, life does not owe you clarity. It owes you nothing. Clarity is something you earn by moving forward. Without it, the greatest moments of your life will never begin with certainty. They'll begin in doubt. They'll begin in chaos. They'll begin in those shaky, terrifying steps that everyone else avoids. And that's exactly why they belong to you. Because while they waited, you moved. While they hesitated, you acted. While they asked, what if I fall? You asked, but what if I fly? That is the heartbeat of relentless belief. It doesn't silence fear. It just stops giving it the microphone. You think fear goes away? You think doubt disappears? No, they ride with you, but you never let them drive. You keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the vision, your soul locked into the thing that matters most, the life that calls you, the one only you can build. Because here's the truth, relentless belief is not confidence. It's not ego. It's not pretending you're bulletproof. It's this: I don't know how long this will take. I don't know how many times I'll fall. I don't know how hard this road will be. But I know one thing: I'm not going back. That is the power that turns ordinary people into legends. Not talent, not timing, not luck, but relentless belief in the face of relentless resistance. Because life isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be all in. To burn the backup plans, to tear up the just in case, to walk into the fire not because you're unafraid, but because your purpose burns hotter. And that's where transformation lives. In the tension, in the stretch, in the moment when you think, I can't go on, and then you do. You rise again, you speak again, you believe again, not because it's easy but because it's who you are. Belief is the quiet force behind every revolution, every breakthrough, every moment history remembers. It's the invisible engine that propels the underdog to the top, the unknown artist to fame, the struggling entrepreneur to empire. But belief does not come from certainty. It grows in the fertile soil of faith. Faith not in the outcome, but in the process. Faith that the steps you take today, no matter how small or painful, are building something greater. Take a moment and think about Thomas Edison, a man who failed 1,000 times trying to create the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is not denial. That is not arrogance. That is relentless belief. Edison saw beyond what was. He believed in what could be. His belief was so fierce, so unwavering, it rewrote the laws of possibility. Now, consider Henry Ford. When he introduced the assembly line, everyone said it was impossible, inefficient, risky. Ford didn't listen to the chorus of no's. He believed the future belonged to the bold. He believed progress required disruption. And with that belief, he changed the world forever. These men did not wake up successful. They woke up believers. And belief, when anchored deep, has a gravity that pulls success toward you. It's not about luck. It's not about talent alone. It's about a relentless, unwavering conviction that you will move forward, even when the world pushes back. That conviction is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you choose to rise when you want to quit. Every time you speak your truth when silence would be easier. Every time you take a step into the unknown. Despite fear, you're training that muscle, and over time, that muscle becomes your superpower. It protects you from doubt. It shields you from fear. It fuels you beyond the limits others accept. Belief is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. It is the seed from which all greatness grows. Without belief, a vision is just a wish. A plan is just ink on paper. A dream is just a fleeting thought. But with belief, with relentless belief, you become unstoppable. Because the world doesn't resist you because you lack skills. It resists you because you haven't decided who you are yet. Belief is the declaration. I am not who I was yesterday. I am becoming who I am meant to be. And in that declaration lies your power. Now, listen closely because this is where everything comes together. Relentless belief is not a destination. It is a lifelong commitment, a burning vow to yourself that no matter what, you will keep showing up. That no matter how dark the night, you will find the dawn. It is the force that separates those who dream from those who do. The force that transforms ordinary moments into legendary memories. Because belief is more than just feeling. It is action. It is sacrifice. It is the courage to be imperfect, to fail, to fall, and then to rise again with fierceness unmatched. It is waking up every day and saying, I am the author of my story. I am the captain of my soul. I will build the life I envision, not someday, but starting now. You must carry that belief like a torch in the dark, lighting your path and igniting the way for others. Because when you embody relentless belief, you become a beacon, a magnet for opportunity, resilience, and transformation. You will inspire those who thought giving up was their only option. You will shake the foundations of doubt in others' hearts. You will create a legacy not just of success, but of unbreakable spirit. So I ask you today, what will you choose? Will you be the one who surrenders to fear, or the one who stands tall and says, I believe, I persist, I become? The choice is yours, and remember, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many storms come your way, your belief is your power. Your relentless belief is the unstoppable force that will carve your name into history. Rise up, stand firm, believe without hesitation, and watch as the impossible bends to the will of your soul. This is your moment, your story, your power. Now go, become unstoppable.